The billionaire CEO was ready to ruin this maid's life over a broken heirloom. But as she reached for the shards, her sleeve slipped, and a tiny, star-shaped birthmark stopped his heart. He didn't just fire a maid. He found the person he'd been hunting for 20 years. In the world of the elite, power is everything, and mistakes are unforgivable. For Leo Sterling, a man who built an empire on cold logic, a shattered vase was just another reason to show his power. He had no idea that the girl he was humiliating was carrying a secret etched into her skin, a mark that linked his billions to a past he thought was dead and buried. Today's story is a powerful lesson that the person you look down on today might be the only one who can save your soul tomorrow. Welcome back to Prime Tale, your home for the most emotional stories of karma, hidden identities, and life-changing twists. We are so glad you're here for this incredible journey of redemption. If you believe that everyone deserves a second chance, hit that subscribe button and join our community of storytellers. Now let's find out exactly what happened when the billionaire realized who he had truly fired. Leo Sterling didn't become a billionaire by being kind. Kindness was slow. Kindness was weak. And Leo Sterling built his empire on speed, precision, and absolute control. In his world, mistakes weren't forgiven, they were erased. The top floor of Sterling Industries was silent, polished, and intimidating. Every surface gleamed. Every object had value. But one item stood above all others. A porcelain vase stood in the center of his office. Ancient, fragile, priceless. It wasn't just art. It was history. It was the last thing his late wife had ever given him. And now, it lay shattered across the marble floor. The sharp sound of broken porcelain still echoed faintly in the air, as if the room itself hadn't recovered from the shock. Sarah knelt on the ground. Her hands trembled as she tried to gather the broken pieces, her breath uneven. Her eyes already filled with tears she was trying desperately to hold back. Leo stood above her, still, silent, dangerous. His expression wasn't loud anger. It was worse. It was controlled fury. Leo, do you have any idea what you've just done? Sarah froze. Her fingers tightened around a shard, almost cutting into her skin, but she didn't react. Sarah, I'm so sorry, sir. I didn't mean to. It slipped. I was just cleaning, and... Leo took a slow step forward. Each step echoed like a warning. Leo, that vase was older than your entire family tree. The words hit harder than shouting. Sarah lowered her head immediately. Sarah, please, sir, it was an accident. I swear. I'll fix it. I'll pay for it somehow. I'll work extra hours. I'll work for free if I have to. Leo let out a quiet breath. Not sympathy. Disappointment. Leo, work for free? He gave a short, humorless laugh. Leo, do you even understand what that sounds like? Sarah didn't answer. She couldn't. Leo, you think this is about money? He crouched slightly, not to help her, but to look directly at the broken pieces. His jaw tightened. Leo, this vase cannot be replaced. It cannot be repaired. And now it's gone. There was a long silence. Heavy. Unforgiving. Then he stood up straight again. Leo, you're fired. The words came fast. Sharp. Final. Sarah's head snapped up. Sarah. Sir, please, no, I need this job. My mother is sick. I have to. Please just give me one more chance. Leo raised his hand slightly. Not aggressively, but enough to silence her. Leo, get out of my sight before I decide to call security. Her breathing became uneven. Panic rising. Sarah. Sir, please. I'll do anything. Leo. Anything? He looked at her, expression unreadable. Leo. Then leave. Now. Sarah's shoulders dropped. Not because she accepted it, but because she had no choice. Her hands moved again, slowly picking up the final pieces. Each shard felt heavier than it should, like she was picking up the remains of her own life. For Leo, this was routine. People made mistakes. People were replaced. But for Sarah, this moment was everything. As she reached for the last piece near her knee, her sleeve slipped back slightly. Just for a second. A small detail, easy to miss. But Leo saw it, and in that instant, Everything changed. His breath caught. His voice gone. His eyes locked onto her wrist. There, against her skin, a mark. A crescent shape. Faint, but unmistakable. The world around him seemed to fade. The office. The broken vase. The anger. All of it disappeared. Leo, no. Sarah didn't notice. She picked up the last shard and stood slowly, still shaking. Sarah. I'm leaving now, sir. But Leo didn't respond. He couldn't. His mind had already gone somewhere else. Far away. 20 years back. To a memory he had buried. A memory he told himself to forget. A crowded place. Bright lights. Laughter. And then, loss. Leo took a slow step forward. His eyes never leaving her wrist. Leo. Wait. Sarah froze again. Fear returning instantly. She turned halfway, hesitant. Sarah. Yes, sir? Leo stared at her. Not like an employer. Not like a stranger. Like someone trying to solve something impossible. Leo. That mark. Sarah looked confused. Sarah. Sir? Leo stepped closer now. Carefully. Like approaching something fragile. Leo. Where did you get that? Sarah instinctively pulled her sleeve down. Protective. Sarah. I've always had it. Since I was a baby. Silence. Leo's heart pounded. Loud. Uncontrolled. For the first time in years. He wasn't in control. Narrator. And just like that, the man who ruled everything was shaken by something he couldn't explain. A single mark. A single moment. A single possibility. That the maid he just fired might not be a stranger at all. The room didn't change. The broken vase was still scattered across the floor. The city skyline still stretched endlessly behind the glass walls. Sarah still stood near the door, small, uncertain, ready to leave. But for Leo, nothing was the same anymore, because all he could see was that mark. That crescent shape burned into his memory like something he had spent years trying to forget, but never truly could. Leo, don't move. Sarah froze instantly. Her fingers tightened around the strap of her worn bag. Fear crept back into her chest. Sarah. Sir. I already said I'm leaving. Leo. I said don't move. There was something different in his voice now. Not anger. Not authority. Something else. Something unsettled. He stepped closer again, slower this time. Careful. Measured. Like one wrong move would shatter something invisible. His eyes never left her wrist. Leo. Let me see it. Sarah hesitated. Her instincts told her to leave. To run. To get as far away from this man as possible. But something in his expression stopped her. Confusion replaced fear, just slightly. Sarah. It's just a birthmark, sir. Leo swallowed. Hard. Leo. I know. A pause. Leo. Just let me see it. Slowly, reluctantly, Sarah pulled her sleeve back again. The mark revealed itself once more. Small. Faint. A crescent moon resting against her skin. Leo stared at it like it was impossible. Like it shouldn't exist. Like it belonged to someone else. Someone he lost. Narrator. And just like that, the past broke through. Not gently, not slowly, but all at once. A memory slammed into him. Bright lights, music, laughter, the smell of popcorn and sugar in the air. A carnival. Narrator. 20 years ago, Leo Sterling wasn't the man he is now. He wasn't cold. He wasn't distant. He wasn't alone. He was a father. A younger Leo stood in a crowded carnival, smiling. Something the present version of him had long forgotten how to do. In his arms, a baby, wrapped in a soft blanket, tiny, fragile, safe, his daughter. Leo, you like the lights, huh? The baby moved slightly, her tiny hand slipping free from a blanket. And there it was, the same crescent-shaped mark on her wrist. Clear, identical, unmistakable. Leo kissed her forehead gently. Leo. I've got you. I'm not going anywhere. Narrator. But promises don't always survive reality. The crowd grew thicker. Voices louder. Movement faster. For 1 second. Just one. Leo looked away. Someone bumped into him. Hard. The world shifted. And when he looked back, the baby was gone. Leo. No, 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 no. His arms were empty. The blanket gone. The weight gone. Everything gone. Leo younger. Help. Somebody help. My daughter. Panic tore through him. He pushed through the crowd, desperate, frantic. Leo younger. She was right here. She was right here. But the carnival didn't stop. The music didn't stop. The people didn't stop. And just like that, she disappeared. Narrator. That night didn't just take his daughter. It took everything. His warmth. His softness. His ability to trust the world. And from that moment on, Leo Sterling stopped being human and became untouchable. Back to present. Leo staggered slightly. The memory hit too hard, too real, too alive. Sarah noticed. Her fear shifted again, this time into concern. Sarah. Sir, are you okay? Leo didn't answer. His eyes were still locked on her wrist. His voice came out quieter than ever before. Leo. It's the same. Sarah frowned. Sarah. What is? Leo looked up at her slowly. For the first time. Not like she was beneath him. Not like she was an employee. But like she mattered. Leo. That mark. He struggled to finish the sentence. Leo. My daughter had the same one. Silence. Heavy. Uncomfortable. Sarah blinked. Confused. Sarah. Sir. I think you're mistaken. Leo shook his head immediately. Leo. No. Too fast. Too certain. Leo. No, I don't make mistakes. The words came out automatically. But this time, they didn't sound like confidence. They sounded like desperation. Sarah stepped back slightly. Sarah. I don't know anything about that. I told you. I've had this since I was a baby. I don't even know my real parents. That sentence hit him harder than anything else. Leo's breathing slowed. But deeper. Heavier. Leo. You don't know them? Sarah shook her head. Sarah. I was adopted. My mother. She took me in when I was little. She said I was found, but she never knew where I came from. Leo's world tilted. Narrator. Found. Not born into a family. Not raised from the beginning. Found. Just like something lost. Something abandoned. Something taken. Leo ran a hand through his hair, pacing slightly now. Control slipping. Leo. Where? Sarah. What? Leo. Where were you found? Sarah hesitated. Sarah. I don't know exactly. Somewhere near the city. That's all she ever told me. Leo stopped moving. His mind was racing faster than it ever had, even in business. Numbers. Dates. Memories. Pieces connecting. Or maybe forcing themselves to connect. Leo. How old are you? Sarah looked confused again. Sarah. 22. Leo closed his eyes for a second. That matched. Too perfectly. Too dangerously. When he opened them again, everything had changed. The anger from earlier was gone. Completely. Replaced with something far more powerful. Hope. And fear. Leo. Sarah. She stiffened slightly hearing her name like that. Leo. Don't leave. Sarah's heart started racing again. Sarah. Sir. I already told you. Leo. Please. The word shocked both of them. Leo Sterling didn't say please. Not to anyone. Not ever. Sarah stood there, frozen between instinct and confusion. Narrator. Moments ago, he was ready to throw her out like she meant nothing. Now, he couldn't let her walk away. Because if he was right, if even a part of this was true, then the maid he had just humiliated wasn't just part of his company. She was part of him. And for the first time in 20 years, Leo Sterling was afraid, not of losing money, not of losing power, but of losing her all over again. That night, Leo Sterling didn't sleep. Not for a second. The city outside his penthouse glowed with life. Cars moving like streams of light, distant sirens echoing, people living their ordinary lives. But inside, everything was still, dark, heavy. Leo sat alone. No lights, no music, no distractions, just silence, and a single object in his hand. A silver locket, worn by time, but untouched by memory. His thumb brushed over its surface again and again, like he was trying to feel something that wasn't there anymore. Or maybe something that was. Leo, whispering to himself. It can't be. He opened the locket slowly. Inside, a tiny photograph, faded, fragile, a younger version of him, and a baby in his arms. Her face barely visible, but her wrist, clear, undeniable. That same crescent-shaped mark. Leo's jaw tightened. His breathing deepened. Leo, I buried this. Narrator. He didn't just lose his daughter that night. He buried her. Not physically, but emotionally. Because hope was dangerous. Hope meant pain. Hope meant waiting for something that might never come back. So he replaced it. With control. With power. With perfection. Leo Sterling built an empire so big, no one would ever see the emptiness inside it. But now, that emptiness had a crack, and it was spreading fast. Leo stood up suddenly. The chair behind him scraped harshly against the floor. Decision made. No hesitation. Leo, I need the truth. He grabbed his phone and dialed immediately. It rang once, twice. Then, assistant. Good evening, Mr. Sterling. Leo didn't waste time. Leo, I need a full background check on one of the staff. Assistant. Of course, sir. Name? Leo. Sarah. A pause. Leo added sharper. Leo. The maid from the executive floor. Another pause. Assistant. Understood. What exactly are you looking for? Leo walked toward the glass window, staring out at the city. But he wasn't seeing it. He was seeing pieces. Fragments. Trying to force them into something whole. Leo. Everything. His tone dropped lower. More controlled. More dangerous. Leo. Birth records. Adoption history. Medical files. School records. I want to know where she came from, who signed her papers, who found her. He stopped. Then added quietly. Leo. And why? Assistant. That may take some time, sir. Leo. You have until morning. Assistant. Sir. With that level of detail. Leo. Morning. Silence. Then. Assistant. Understood. The line went dead. Narrator. Leo lowered the phone slowly. For most people, this would be impossible. Records disappear. Histories get lost. Truth becomes buried. But Leo wasn't most people. He had built a system that could find anything, anyone, anywhere. And tonight, he was turning that system on a single person. Not a rival, not a threat, but a girl who had been scrubbing his floors just hours ago. Leo, if you're her. He couldn't finish the sentence. Because the next thought was unbearable. If she was his daughter, then what had he just done? His mind replayed it instantly. Her on the floor, begging, apologizing, offering to work for free. And him, cold, cruel, dismissing her like she meant nothing. Leo shut his eyes tightly. For the first time in years, regret hit him. Real, sharp, unavoidable. Leo, I told her to leave. Narrator. Not just leave the office. Leave his life. Again. Leo's hand tightened around the locket. Leo. No. His eyes opened again. Determined. Leo. Not this time. Narrator. Hours passed. But time didn't move for Leo. He didn't sit. Didn't eat. Didn't rest. He walked. Back and forth. Relentless. Like a man waiting for a verdict that could destroy him. Every second stretched. Every thought louder than the last. What if it's not her? What if it is? What if she hates you? What if you already lost her again? His phone buzzed. Leo stopped instantly. Looked down. A message. From his assistant. Leo didn't breathe as he opened it. A file. Encrypted. Detailed. Everything he asked for. Leo walked back to his desk slowly. Sat down. The screen lit his face in the darkness. He opened the file. Line by line, word by word. Narrator. Name Sarah. No last name at birth. Found. Age approximately 2. Location. Within city limits. No biological parents identified. Adopted shortly after. Guardian. Single mother. Status. Low income. Medical notes. Leo stopped scrolling. His heart was pounding again. His eyes moved back, slowly, to one specific line. A scanned document. Old, faded, but still readable. Distinct identifying mark. Crescent-shaped birthmark on inner wrist. Leo leaned back in his chair. The air left his lungs. Not relief. Not yet. Something heavier. Leo. It matches. Narrator. Piece by piece. It was coming together. Too perfectly. Too cleanly. Like the universe was forcing the truth into his hands. Leo's eyes moved to another file. Adoption timestamp. Date. Year. He froze. Because that date was the same year he lost his daughter. Same city. Same time. Same mark. Leo closed the laptop slowly. He didn't need to see more. Because deep down, he already knew. Leo. Voice low, shaken. It's her. The words didn't sound like victory. They sounded like fear. Because truth comes with consequences. And Leo had already made a mistake. A massive one. Narrator. He hadn't just fired an employee. He hadn't just insulted a stranger. He had looked into the eyes of his own daughter and treated her like she was nothing. Leo stood up again. This time, slower. More controlled. But inside, everything was breaking. Leo. I have to fix this. But even as he said it, he knew something. Money couldn't fix this. Power couldn't fix this. Control couldn't fix this. Because this wasn't business. This was personal. And personal damage cuts deeper. Narrator. Across the city, in a small, dimly lit room, Sarah sat quietly on the edge of a worn bed. Her bag beside her. Her job gone. Her future uncertain. She stared at her hands. Still shaking. Still remembering his voice. You're fired. A single tear slid down her face. Sarah. Softly to herself. It was just an accident. She pulled her sleeve down over her wrist, hiding the mark, like she always did, like it meant nothing, like it was just a part of her. But somewhere, without knowing why, she felt something strange, like her life had just shifted, like something had changed, like that moment in the office wasn't the end. Narrator. And she was right, because the truth was already moving toward her, fast, unstoppable. And by morning, everything she thought she knew about her life was about to change forever. Morning came too quickly, but not for Sarah. For her, the night never really ended. Sleep didn't come. Peace didn't come. Only worry. Only pressure. Only the quiet fear of what happens when life suddenly pulls the ground out from under you. The small room she shared with her sick mother felt tighter than ever. The walls seemed closer. The air heavier. A single pill bottle sat on the table, almost empty. Sarah stared at it for a long moment, then looked away. She couldn't afford to think about that right now. She had one last thing to do. Narrator. The Sterling building stood tall, as always. Untouched. Unbothered. Like nothing inside it had changed. Employees moved in and out, dressed sharply, focused, efficient. To them, it was just another day. To Sarah, it felt like walking back into the place that rejected her. She stepped inside, quietly, head slightly lowered, not wanting attention, not wanting confrontation. Just one goal. Get her final paycheck. Leave. Move on. Survive. Narrator. But some places don't let you leave quietly. And some people don't let you leave with dignity. The staff locker room was cold, unwelcoming. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly above. Sarah walked in slowly. Her locker sat at the far end. Simple. Old. Nothing like the luxury upstairs. She reached it, paused, took a breath, then opened it. Inside, her few belongings. A folded uniform. A pair of worn shoes. A small photo of her and her mother. That was it. Her entire working life. Reduced to a few items. She began packing them carefully, gently, like they mattered. Because, to her, they did. A sharp voice cut through the room. Mrs. Higgins. So you came back. Sarah froze. She didn't turn immediately. She didn't have to. She recognized that voice anywhere. Cold. Sharp. Always waiting for a reason to strike. Sarah slowly looked over her shoulder. Mrs. Higgins stood by the doorway. arms crossed, expression already filled with judgment. Mrs. Higgins, I thought I made it clear yesterday. You're done here. Sarah nodded slightly, respectful. Even now. Sarah, yes, ma'am. I just came to collect my final paycheck. Mrs. Higgins let out a short, mocking laugh. Mrs. Higgins, final paycheck? She walked closer, each step deliberate. Mrs. Higgins, you break something worth more than your entire life, and you still think you're entitled to a paycheck? Sarah's grip tightened slightly on her bag, but she stayed calm. Sarah, I worked for it. I just need it for my mother's medicine. For a second, there was silence, but not sympathy. Mrs. Higgins' expression hardened even more. Mrs. Higgins, your problems are not this company's concern. She reached Sarah's locker, and without warning, started throwing things out. The uniform, the shoes, the photo, all hitting the floor carelessly. Sarah gasped and rushed forward. Sarah, please don't do that. She knelt quickly, trying to gather her things. Her hands moved fast, but careful, always careful. Mrs. Higgins, take your trash and get out. Sarah, it's not trash. Her voice was soft, but it carried something real. Something hurt. Mrs. Higgins didn't care. Mrs. Higgins, you should be grateful Mr. Sterling didn't press charges. Do you even understand what you did? Sarah didn't answer, because she did understand. Too well. Mrs. Higgins leaned closer slightly. Mrs. Higgins, people like you don't belong in places like this. That one sentence cut deeper than anything else. Sarah stopped moving for a second. Her eyes lowered, not because she believed it, but because she'd heard it too many times before. Narrator. And that's how it works. Not with one insult, but with many, repeated, layered, until it almost feels true. Sarah picked up the photo of her and her mother, brushed it off carefully, held it close for just a second, then placed it gently into her bag. Mrs. Higgins watched with irritation. Mrs. Higgins, why are you still here? Sarah stood slowly, bag in hand. Sarah, I told you, I just need my paycheck. Mrs. Higgins sighed loudly, annoyed. Mrs. Higgins, there is no paycheck. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. Sarah, what? Mrs. Higgins, consider it deducted from the damage you caused. Sarah shook her head immediately, panic rising again. Sarah, no, that's not fair. I worked all month. Mrs. Higgins, and you destroyed something priceless. She stepped closer now, invading Sarah's space. Mrs. Higgins, be grateful you're walking out of here without a lawsuit. Sarah's breathing became uneven, her chest tight. Sarah, please, my mother needs that money. I don't have anything else. Mrs. Higgins, not my problem. She raised her hand slightly, not yet touching, but clearly about to shove Sarah toward the door. Sarah instinctively stepped back, fear flashing across her face. Narrator. And in that moment, Sarah wasn't just losing a job. She was losing stability, security, dignity, everything at once. Mrs. Higgins' hand moved forward. A voice cut through the room. Deep, sharp, unmistakable. Leo, touch her. Silence slammed into the space. Mrs. Higgins froze instantly. So did Sarah. Leo stepped into the locker room. His presence filled it immediately. Not loud, not aggressive, but powerful, controlled, and very, very serious. Leo, and you'll never work in this city again. Mrs. Higgins' face changed instantly. Confidence gone. Mrs. Higgins, Mr. Sterling, I didn't realize. Leo didn't look at her, not even once. His eyes were locked on Sarah. Only her. Leo, I made a mistake. The words landed heavily, not just in the room, but in Sarah. Because this man, the same one who fired her without hesitation, was now standing between her and harm. Narrator. Something had changed, completely, and Sarah could feel it, but she didn't understand it. Not yet. Leo took a slow step forward, still focused on her. Leo. Sarah. Her name sounded different now. Softer. Careful. Leo, come with me. Sarah's heart started racing again. Not fear. Not fully. but uncertainty. Sarah. Sir? Leo. Quiet, firm. We need to talk. Mrs. Higgins stood frozen, confused. Mrs. Higgins. But sir, you fired her. Leo finally turned his head, slightly. Just enough. Leo. And I said, I made a mistake. That was the end of it. No argument. No discussion. Mrs. Higgins stepped back immediately. Silenced. Narrator. Power speaks in different ways. Sometimes loud. Sometimes quiet. But when it's real, it doesn't need to repeat itself. Leo looked back at Sarah. Waiting. Not forcing. But expecting. Sarah hesitated. Her mind racing. The walk from the locker room to the executive floor felt longer than it ever had before. Not because of distance, but because of tension. Every step echoed differently now. Employees who once ignored Sarah were now staring, whispering, confused. Because the same girl who had just been thrown out was now walking beside Leo Sterling. Not behind him, not beneath him, beside him. And Leo didn't say a word. Sarah clutched her bag tightly as they walked. Her mind was racing. Too many questions. Not enough answers. Sarah. Sir, if this is about the vase, I already said I'll find a way to pay. Leo stopped walking. Suddenly, Sarah almost walked into him. He turned slightly. Not angry. Not cold. But serious. Leo. This is not about the vase. That alone shifted everything again. Because hours ago, that was the only thing that mattered. Narrator. They reached his office. The same place where everything fell apart. Where her life changed. Where she was dismissed like she meant nothing. Leo opened the door himself. A small detail, but noticeable. He stepped aside slightly. Leo. Go in. Sarah hesitated for half a second, then stepped inside. The office looked exactly the same. Perfect. Clean. Untouched. Except for one thing. The vase was gone. No sign of it. No broken pieces. No evidence it ever existed. Like the moment had been erased. But Sarah remembered. Clearly. Leo walked in behind her and closed the door. The sound echoed. Final. Private. Now it was just the two of them. No staff. No interruptions. No escape. Sarah stood near the center of the room, unsure whether to sit or remain standing. She chose to stand. Safer that way. Leo walked past her slowly toward his desk, but he didn't sit. He didn't hide behind it. Instead, he stayed in front, facing her. That alone made this feel different. A silence stretched between them. Not awkward. Heavy. Like both of them knew this moment mattered, but didn't know how to begin it. Leo exhaled slowly. Leo, you said you don't know your real parents. Sarah nodded slightly. Careful. Sarah. Yes, sir. Leo's jaw tightened briefly at the word sir. But he let it pass. For now. Leo. And your mother. The one who raised you. Sarah. She found me. Leo nodded once. He already knew that part. But hearing her say it made it real in a different way. Leo took the step closer. Not too close, but closer than before. Leo. Sarah. His voice lowered. More personal now. Leo. I need you to listen carefully. Sarah's heart began to beat faster again. This tone was new. Leo. Everything I'm about to say may sound impossible. He paused, watching her reaction. She didn't move, didn't speak, just waited. Leo. But I wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't sure. Narrator. For a man who built his life on certainty. Those words carried weight. Sarah swallowed slightly. Sarah. Sir, you're scaring me. Leo softened just a fraction. Leo. I'm not going to hurt you. That was the first promise. And strangely, it didn't sound like a lie. Leo walked back to his desk and picked something up. A white envelope. Simple. Sealed. He looked at it for a moment before speaking again. Leo. Last night, I ran a full investigation. Sarah blinked. Confused. Sarah. On me? Leo nodded. No hesitation. Leo. Yes. Sarah's grip tightened on her bag again. Sarah. Why would you do that? Leo looked up at her. Direct. Honest. Leo. Because of that mark on your wrist. Silence. Sarah instinctively pulled her sleeve slightly. Protective again. Sarah. It's just a birthmark. Leo shook his head slowly. Leo. No. A pause. Leo. It's not just a birthmark. Narrator. And just like that, the truth moved one step closer to the surface. Leo placed the envelope gently on the desk. But he didn't open it yet. Not immediately. Because once it was open, everything would change. And there would be no going back. Leo. 20 years ago. His voice shifted again. Lower. Heavier. Leo. I lost someone. Sarah didn't interrupt. Didn't move. Something told her. This wasn't just a story. Leo. My daughter. The word landed quietly, but deeply. Sarah's eyes widened slightly. Leo. She disappeared. No trace. No answers. Nothing. He paused. Just for a second. But it was enough to show. That wound never healed. Leo. And she had something. He looked directly at Sarah's wrist again. Leo. That same mark. Sarah's breath caught slightly. But she shook her head almost immediately. Sarah. No, that doesn't mean. Leo. I thought the same thing. He cut in. Not aggressively, but firmly. Leo. Until I saw your records. He tapped the envelope lightly. Leo. Everything lines up. Your age. The location you were found. The timing. And that mark. Every piece. Narrator. Piece by piece. The impossible was becoming harder to deny. Sarah took a small step back. Her voice came out softer now. Less certain. Sarah. There are a lot of people in the world. Leo. Not with that exact mark. Immediate. Precise. Leo. Not with that exact history. He stepped closer again. Leo. Not with that exact timeline. Silence. Thick. Unavoidable. Sarah looked down at her hands. Then back at him. Her voice barely above a whisper. Sarah. What are you saying? Leo didn't hesitate this time. He picked up the envelope. Opened it slowly. Then pulled out the document inside. His hand didn't shake. But his voice almost did. Leo. I'm saying. He placed the paper on the desk between them. Leo. You're not just a maid. A beat. Then. Leo. You're my daughter. Narrator. And just like that, the world stopped. No sound. No movement. No reaction. At first. Because some truths are too big to process in a single moment. Sarah stared at him. Then at the paper. Then back at him. Her eyes searching his face. Looking for something. A lie. A crack. Anything. Sarah. No. A small step back. Sarah. No, that's not possible. Leo didn't argue. Didn't push. He simply stood there, letting the truth sit between them. Narrator. Hours ago, he had the power, the control, the authority. Now, he had none of it, because this moment didn't belong to him. It belonged to her. Sarah shook her head again, tears forming now. Sarah. You fired me. Her voice broke. Sarah. You treated me like I was nothing. That hit harder than anything. Leo didn't defend himself. Didn't explain. Because he couldn't. She was right. Sarah. And now you're saying. She looked at him again. Hurt. Confused. Sarah. You're my father? Narrator. And for the first time, Leo Sterling had no power, no control, and no easy answer. The silence didn't break. It stretched. Thick. Heavy. Unforgiving. The kind of silence that forces truth to settle whether you're ready for it or not. Sarah stood frozen, her chest rising and falling unevenly, her mind rejecting everything she had just heard, but her heart not so sure. Across from her, Leo didn't move, didn't rush, didn't try to convince her with words, because for once in his life, words weren't enough. Sarah. No, this doesn't make sense. Her voice was fragile now, not defensive, not angry, just overwhelmed. Sarah. You can't just say something like that and expect me to believe it. Leo nodded once. Calm. Accepting. Leo. You're right. That answer caught her off guard. Leo. You shouldn't believe it just because I said it. He stepped closer to the desk. picked up the document again, then turned it slightly toward her. Leo, that's why I didn't come to you with just a story. He tapped the paper lightly. Leo, I came with proof. Narrator, proof. A dangerous word, because once it's real, there's no escape from it. Sarah hesitated. Then slowly, step by step, she moved closer, like approaching something that might break her. Her eyes dropped to the paper, scanning, trying to understand, but the words blurred slightly through the tears forming in her eyes. Sarah, what is this? Leo, a DNA test. The words landed clean, precise, final. Sarah's breath caught. She looked up at him immediately. Sarah, you tested me? Leo, yes. No hesitation, no apology in the tone, but something else, something heavier. Leo, after you left yesterday, I had samples taken from the office. Sarah frowned slightly, confused. Leo, a strand of your hair, a cup you used, anything I could get without alarming you. He paused, then added, Leo, and I compared it to mine. Narrator, in Leo's world, nothing was impossible. If truth existed, he could find it, even if it meant crossing lines, even if it meant digging into things that should have stayed buried. Sarah looked back down at the paper. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. The results were clear, scientific, cold, undeniable, a percentage, a match, a conclusion. She didn't understand all the technical words, but she understood enough. 99.9. Her voice faded, because she knew what that meant, even if she didn't want to. Narrator. And just like that, doubt lost its ground. Sarah's grip on the paper tightened. Her breathing became sharper, faster. Her entire life, everything she believed about herself, was shifting beneath her feet. Sarah. No. A tear slipped down her cheek. Sarah. No, this has to be wrong. Leo didn't interrupt, didn't correct her. He let her feel it, because denying it was part of the process. Sarah. Tests can be wrong. Mistakes happen. You said it yourself. You don't make mistakes, but maybe this time. Leo. Quietly. I ran it twice. That stopped her. Completely. Leo. Different labs. Different samples. Same result. A pause. Then. Leo. You're my daughter. Narrator. Not a possibility anymore. Not a theory. A fact. The paper slipped slightly in Sarah's hand. Her knees felt weak. She reached for the edge of the desk to steady herself. Her world was no longer familiar. Sarah. No. I had a mother. Leo's expression softened. Leo. You still do. That mattered. That was important. Leo. The woman who raised you. She is your mother in every way that counts. Sarah looked up again, conflicted. Sarah. Then what does that make you? The question hit harder than anything else. Leo didn't answer immediately, because the truth was complicated. Leo. The man who lost you. A beat. Leo. And the man who just found you again. Narrator. But finding someone doesn't mean you deserve them. Sarah's eyes filled again. This time not just with confusion, but something deeper, something sharper. Pain. Sarah. You yelled at me. Her voice cracked. Sarah. You fired me. Another step back. Sarah. You told me to leave like I was nothing. Each word. A reminder. Each word. A weight. Leo didn't look away. Didn't defend himself. He took it. Every part of it. Leo. I know. That was it. No excuses. No explanations. Just truth. Narrator. Because some actions don't have a justification. Only consequences. Sarah shook her head again. Tears falling freely now.